all the colonization that's gone on, Doc, for the last 500 years, who did it?
Oh, it's the Western countries.
Western nations.
England, France, Germany, the Dutch.
Yes. Yeah. But the other countries haven't been colonizing, have they?
No, they haven't.
It's been the people who are controlling the current world order. And it's coming to an end. That whole thing, it's about a 500-year world order that's come out of Europe and then North America. And it's coming to an end. And it will not come back for 500 years. And it may never come back. The world order is shifting to the east.
And the Chinese their biggest sell on maybe leading this new world order, at least the structure of it, is they'll bring harmony. They'll bring peace. They'll bring stability. They want to build businesses. They want to build roads, a new Silk Road.
That's right. And I didn't bring the article, but in this article about a new world order, the magazine suggests that you read another article. Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir proposes new regional currency based on gold.
Wow. So this is a global trend that we're seeing. We're
going to gold-based, and I think, Doc, where it's going is gold-based cryptocurrency.
Well, remember the Russian Central Bank. That's something they've looked at now as a potential instrument that they will back or even implement themselves.
Sydney, Australia had visitors today, the port.
Yes, the Chinese Navy.
They had a frigate, an auxiliary replenishment ship, and an amphibious vessel. This is a shock because no more than one warship, Chinese that is, has shown up in Sydney before. And at a time when the United States and Western ally being Australia is at a kind of a showdown over the South China Sea. The South China Morning Post wanted to point out here that this was really, it looked very like a war footing almost, a message sent from Beijing.
And actually Sydney was out of the way on their path of return.
Yes.
So they had to make an extra effort to stop in Sydney Harbor.
And they were returning from the Middle East.
And the people of Australia knew nothing about it. Now, the government obviously knew something about it.
Yes, Prime Minister Morrison said he had advance notice, but again, it was a shock to most of the people in Australia.
So they got up in the morning and there were
Chinese warships out in the harbor.
700 PLA sailors.
Well, next time might be more. I mean, this is the future we're going into.
That reminds me of that story several years back where we had the Chinese ship that docked up here at Mayport here in Florida.
I personally saw that.
Up in Jacksonville at Mayport Naval Base.
It was 3 ships.
No one knew about it until they docked.
Yes.
And they unloaded and they all went to Disney. And so,
that was one of my first reports.
That was a shock.
That's right. So it's happening more than one time in more than one country.
And the Prime Minister of Australia says this is part of a reciprocal agreement. That we're going to dock some Australian ships, I guess, in China at some point. But it would be quite a shock to wake up one morning, look out your window, and see some Chinese warships sitting out in the harbor.
That's right. All right, let's. What do we know about Bilderberg that happened? Because obviously, there's no news reports about it because the news executives who go are under Chatham House rules. And you know when you read about a Bilderberg meeting? Over the next year.
Yes.
The propaganda.
The policy points.
The policies.
Talking points, the propaganda, the policies start floating. They bring it out through the newspapers and television networks that were allowed to be there.
But what's different this year, as opposed to previous years with the Bilderbergers, is that this was a great show of Americans at this meeting. I mean, you had, of course, Mr. Kushner, Mr. Pompeo. You had 4 high-ranking generals from the Pentagon that were at this event. Of course, we had Stacey Abrams there. Why she was at Bilderberger?
I know why.
Because she's auditioning for vice president.
Yeah, they brought her in because they're going to make her the VP under Joe Biden. It's a powerful ticket, Biden and Abrams. Old white man and a young black woman.
You've met your diversity quota with that.
There you go. I'm serious. The Trump campaign they better work hard because that is going to be a very serious ticket. Biden and Abrams.
So was the show of force by the Americans arriving at Bilderberg this year their attempt to do a corporate takeover of the Bilderberg?
That's an interesting question, Doc. Because when
I ask interesting questions.
Yes, you do. When you read the first paragraph of Newsweek, And hey, the fact that even Newsweek is even talking about Bilderberg is amazing.
The only two articles that are out there are actually from the same reporter, Charlie Skelter. He's the one who wrote this article for Newsweek.
Newsweek said the Americans have come to Bilderberg in force this year. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo arrived on Saturday evening in a motorcade so long it stretched halfway back to Geneva. Now listen to this. He will be sharing his thoughts on a new strategic order with the head of NATO, two prime ministers, the German foreign minister, the King of Holland, and a number of finance bosses and billionaires, many of them from the world of tech.
All right. He said a strategic
world order. A new strategic order. That was Mike Pompeo's speech theme at Bilderberg.
You know, he's also in the past talked about a new social world order, too. He's
a liberal, a new liberal world order.
So, are they one and the same?
Yes. Yes. And I think the new globalists, which will be the scariest yet, will be the tech barons.
Well, they'll have more power than has ever been centralized, probably in the history of...
Well, they have more power than governments.
Yes. You look at some of the agenda and cyber threats and the weaponization of social media. This was an agenda item at Bilderberg, the one with both the Silicon Valley elite and Mike Pompeo and national security officials from the Pentagon. They are clearly looking at using the power, or the power of censoring, really.
How to weaponize social media. Right. I thought they already did it. So was this a
test run?
A refresher course? The head of NATO was there. Prime ministers, kings, and billionaires from the tech world.
Right.
That's who was at this top secret globalist meeting last week.
Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt was there. Peter Thiel was there. Alex Karp of Palantir was there.
Palantir.
Yeah. And so you've got all these different organizations, all these different companies that deal in data, deal in acquiring people's information, all merging, walking the hallways with military officials and billionaires.
Well, they also had the head of the banks, chairman of HSBC, the head of Deutsche Bank out of Germany, Santander. Remember Santander? That's the bank that sent officials to the Mobile World Congress.
They did the microchipping.
Did the microchipping. They were at this event on the yacht drinking wine and frescoes with our Secretary of State.
I'm sure they were. And most likely the Santander Bank of Spain, which we saw microchip,
right?
The gentleman at Mobile World, they probably gave him a report and said, we microchipped a human live on stage at a major trade show, and there was no reaction anywhere in the world except a little Christian news organization in Vero Beach, Florida.
And we're really not that worried about them.
Think about it. There was no reaction.
They put a microchip to share with their colleagues.
They put a microchip in a human, and they did a live bank transaction with a microchip in the flesh of a human, and there was no response in the world except true news.
Right. And the cheers in the room.
That's what they were reporting to Bilderberg. They were saying, don't worry, the people are asleep. They've been medicated. All right? You got so many pharmaceuticals in them, they don't know what's going on anymore. They become docile sheep. We can implant them. They're not going to react.
All right, Rick, so help me sort this out here. I know that we're short on time and everything, but so was this an attempted takeover by the Trump administration into the Bilderbergers, or is this just the rise of the real power that's always been there?
No, I think there's a new generation of globalists. I think the tech guys are coming in. I don't think Donald Trump is not a globalist. He's an imperialist.
Right. There's a difference.
Okay.
I believe you. I believe that.
A globalist wants a global system of global governance.
With all the different governments working together into one government.
But an imperialist wants an empire that rules the world.
They colonize. They take over resources.
Donald Trump has been sold on the idea of an American imperial empire. He wasn't that way when he went into office. He's that way now. because they're bringing him into that system. He's being indoctrinated into it. How much power we can wield as the United States of America. I saw today, Doc, it may have been the South China Morning Post. There was an article. It was in an Asian newspaper speculating that Huawei may not survive.
The biggest telecommunications.
The article said if Trump succeeds in killing off Huawei.
Well, they went to England trying to kill off the relationship between Huawei and the United Kingdom, because the United Kingdom said they were going to work with Huawei.
Yeah, but the United States under Donald Trump is very muscular. Look at how aggressive the U.S. government has become under Donald Trump. It's aggressive. It's warlike. I thought it was warlike under Obama. Trump has taken it to a new level. We're crushing countries. We're crushing corporations now. We're crushing anybody that dares to rise up against us.
We'll shut off your power. We'll shut off your funding. We'll shut off your access to the SWIFT banking structure.
Exactly. That's an imperialist empire. And you got Mahathir Mohamad in Malaysia saying, look, we need a new world order based on the rule of law. Because what the imperialists in the United States are doing is not the rule of law. It's the rule of the fist.
Right. And that's the way imperialists operate.
Yes. Yes. It's my fist is the law.
Mafia.
Yeah. It's very mafia-like. You got it. Very mafia-like. The problem with that type of attitude, mentality, and method is that it stokes anger, resentment, and eventually revolution against it and a takedown. And so pride comes before the fall. And America right now is full of pride. And
being part of an empire is great whenever you're well fed and when things are going great and there's no problems. But
all empires have an expiration date.
That's right.
Let the bread run out, let the water run out, let the wine run out, and suddenly revolution kicks in.
And an empire's lifespan is just a little over 300 years. And we've